Yeah, they presumably have at least one residence where the person is, and they're going door to door nearby to see where he might be hiding out. It's a very dangerous operation. It's painstaking. The scene of the investigation has expanded. So it's no longer just Watertown. The governor of Massachusetts extended it all the way to Massachusetts. It's an enormous area that is essentially in lockdown. An unprecedented situation, the best of my knowledge, in American history.
It really is unprecedented. And as we've been talking about, taxis, the transit system, the roads have been closed. People are staying inside. They haven't quite yet closed the airports. Is it only a matter of time before they shut down Logan Airport?
I think so. I mean, no one can get there. I mean, they've shut down the taxi system, the mass transit system. They don't want people on the roads. I expect they won't want people arriving on inbound flights because they have to go somewhere from there.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll get an announcement from Logan fairly soon, I guess.
I assume, and we're already hearing reports of businesses, for instance, that have been holding functions or were going to hold functions in Boston. They've canceled them, and they're likely going to cancel them throughout the day.
That's right.
As this rolls on.
It's a cascading series of disruptions, and so just think about it. If your kids can't go to school, then you can't go to work, and if you can't get a ride, you stay home. And it's sort of like the closest analogy would be a large snowstorm, where everyone just has to stay off the road and stay home, and that's what they want until this situation is definitively resolved.
What's happening in the war room right now?
Well, there's several war rooms. So there's a tactical war room where they're looking for who did this, and they are on the street, fully armed, many in body armor, going house to house, street by street, looking for this individual. There's also an investigative war room where they're trying to make sense of all the data they have, the databases, the preliminary investigation into these two men, where they came from, who their associates are, what they were doing online, where they may have moved, what they're getting from any vehicles or possibly an apartment. And then, of course, at the national level, the White House will be following this minutely. And at some point, again, we will undoubtedly hear from President Obama. He's not going to let the day go by without speaking to this again.
No, I assume not. What was interesting, though, Richard, was the pictures that were released of these two suspects were quite blurry. I mean, they were not very accurate. Is it surprising to you that people were able to positively identify them from the photos that were released?
Well, no, sounds like they've been in the country for a period of time, so lots of people will know them. And they were not so blurry that no one could identify them. And I think that was the weak link in this case from the perpetrator's point of view, is if they in fact had been here for over a year, as we reported earlier in the morning, lots of people are going to know these guys.
Are going to know who they are. What databases would be combed through right now exactly?
Well, we will definitely have them when they entered the country. So if they entered the country, they weren't born here, they had to come in on a visa. There will be an application, there'll be a photograph, there'll be a fingerprint. That will be gone through to figure out where they are. They will, now that they have names and faces, they will check all the telecommunications records, criminal history records, tax records, school records, everything you can imagine about these individuals, and that will be happening at the investigative level. The people at the tactical level, who are the ones in the body armor who we see on the imagery, they're just focused on what's right in front of them, and it's handled quite separately. They need to feed the information to the tactical level, and sometimes that connection can go wrong, so that they know in real time what they're looking for and what to look out for. But they're handled somewhat separately.
Richard, from what you know and what you're gathering, I mean, does it seem as if these two active alone, or are they part of a larger organization here?
Could be either way at this point. When you see foreign nationals, you typically think some sort of apparatus behind them that supported their effort. But they've been here long enough. They seem to be capable. If they've been here over a year, that was more than enough time for them individually to put together this plot. Time will tell on this one, but I will tell you what we call an investigative premise for the law enforcement and especially intelligence community at this stage will be that they are an operative unit from an international terrorism network.
But this is a cell.
Yeah, but this is not a conclusion. This is one theory about the events that they will be investigating and really need to run to ground definitively before they declare the incident in any way over.